It's easy to think of safety as rules, checklists, and personal protective equipment. And yes, all of those things matter. But real safety, the kind that lasts, starts with leadership. And when you're on a small construction site, leadership isn't just about titles. It's about setting the tone, modeling behavior, and creating a space where safety is expected, respected, and followed. Welcome back to the channel where we talk real-world safety in real-world workplaces. In this video, we're diving into how leadership, formal or informal, shapes the safety culture of small construction crews, and why the right leadership can mean the difference between a well-run site and a serious incident. On big job sites, you might have a full-time safety officer, site superintendent, or project manager overseeing compliance. But on smaller crews, that responsibility often falls to the crew lead, the foreman, or even the most experienced worker on site. And in some cases, it's the business owner wearing all those hats. That's a lot of weight to carry, but it also means you have a huge influence on the crew's safety mindset. Leadership in safety isn't about barking orders or pointing fingers. It's about demonstrating what you expect from others. If you take shortcuts, your team will think it's okay to do the same. If you speak up about hazards, they'll learn to do the same. What you model becomes the norm. Let's dig a little deeper into that. Think about how trust is built on a small job site. Crews are tight-knit. Everyone sees what everyone else is doing. That means people don't just hear the message, they watch it. If you're preaching safety but cutting corners when no one's looking, that sends a louder message than any toolbox talk ever will. A great example of this comes from a small scaffolding company in the UK. They were seeing too many near misses and minor injuries, mostly from workers rushing, skipping steps, or making do with what they had. Instead of cracking down with punishments, the owner took a different route. He started leading by example. Every morning, he did a walk around with the crew, pointed out both good and bad practices, and gave his team ownership over how they wanted to improve safety. He also did something simple but powerful. He admitted when he made a mistake. That built trust. Over time, workers began to take initiative. They started correcting each other, bringing forward ideas, and even suggesting changes to equipment layout. Within a year, the company saw an 80% reduction in incidents. Not because they had more rules, but because they had better leadership. There's a mindset shift that happens when leadership focuses on communication and respect. Suddenly, safety stops being an obligation and becomes a shared value. One site lead told us that he started doing something he calls the 2-minute check-in, just 2 minutes with each team member every morning to ask what they're working on and whether they see any risks. That little ritual turned into a habit, and that habit created a workplace where people felt heard and safe. On small job sites, leadership can also mean knowing when to slow things down. Deadlines are real, budgets are tight, but the best leaders understand that an extra 5 minutes spent talking about a hazard or double-checking a fall protection system is time well spent. It's not about delays, it's about ensuring everyone gets home in one piece. Let's talk about communication for a second. Effective safety leaders know how to communicate in a way that gets through. Not lectures, not yelling, real talk, asking questions, listening, checking for understanding. If someone doesn't know the right way to use a harness or set up a ladder safely, they need a leader who teaches, not shames. Another great example comes from a concrete forming crew in rural Manitoba. The crew had just brought on 2 younger workers with little industry experience. The crew lead didn't just hand them a harness and hope for the best. He took time, during lunch breaks, end-of-day cleanups, and right before concrete pours, to walk them through hazards, answer questions, and model safe practices. Within weeks, those new workers were the ones pointing out risks to others. That's the ripple effect of great leadership. And here's another angle: mental health. Leadership plays a role there too. When workers feel rushed, unheard, or blamed, stress builds. And stress leads to distraction, and distraction leads to injury. But when a leader checks in, shows concern, or gives someone the space to take a break after a rough morning, that's leadership in action. You're not just keeping them safe physically, you're keeping them steady mentally. So here's something to think about. How are you showing up as a safety leader? Whether you're running the crew or working side by side with your teammates, your actions set the tone. What message are you sending when you put your harness on without being asked? When you stop to talk about a hazard even though it might slow you down? When you admit a close call instead of hiding it? That's leadership. And on small sites, it matters more than ever. If you're not in a formal leadership role, that doesn't mean you can't lead. Influence isn't about position, it's about action. The way you approach safety could inspire someone else to do the same. The best crews don't just wait for someone to tell them what to do. They step up, they speak out, they watch each other's backs. Let us know in the comments, who's the safety leader on your crew, and what do they do that really makes a difference? Or maybe it's you. Either way, share your story so others can learn from it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your crew. Until next time, stay sharp, stay safe, and lead by example.